Welcome back to the John Whitmer Show. Our number is 316-869-1330. For those of you who haven't been watching and have been listening, thank you. But I will give you an update. New England 10, Rams 3. So we finally had a break in this riveting, Super Bowl that we're watching here. So at any rate, on the phone with us now is Representative Dan Hawkins, who also is the House Majority Leader. And first off, I got to tell you, Dan, I love saying Dan Hawkins, House Majority Leader. It is so nice to not be saying Don Heineman, House Majority Leader. So I just first off have to say thank you for that.
Thank you, John.
That alone makes it worth the night.
I did want to ask you one thing. You know my sleep habits because I do go to bed early, and you always have me on last.
I save the best for last. I'm sure you had some, dinner out, whining and dining, freshman twisting arms or something tonight, didn't you?
No, absolutely not. Drove up here, actually went to the office and worked at the office for a couple hours and then got back here to call you.
Well, I appreciate that. See, I tell you I tell you that right there it shows how dedicated you are. You drove up to Topeka and worked. So on a Sunday evening. So I appreciate it. That is one of the reasons. You're one of the harder working chairmen. I know when you chaired the House Health Committee, that was one of the things I noticed. I only got to serve with you for a year on that committee, and I tell you, you're hands down one of the hardest working, so I know the Majority Leader's office must similarly be cranking out stuff. As a matter of fact, I receive your the Majority Report newsletters, and I mean it's chock full of stuff that you've been tracking and putting out information on.
Yeah, this week I really enjoyed writing that piece. Really bringing to light here in Kansas just how we feel about New York's position on life. Undoubtedly, they don't appreciate life at all. In fact, appears they want to kill babies right when they're born. So we certainly wanted to highlight that. And of course, we had our very own Representative Steve Owens, who this week authored a letter who about 40 of us signed and sent off to the leadership in the House and the governor and the Senate there in New York. So hopefully they'll get it and read it and not just throw it in the trash. But I tend to think they probably won't really care what we say, but it certainly made us feel better to at least say something.
No, but and it's sad. I've been thinking and had I hadn't already planned topics for tonight, that would be one of the ones, but we are going to touch on it next week, is this ongoing attack, which is what it is, attack on life that we're seeing from the left. And the word that you used and that others have used is sickening. I like disgusting, but either way, it is. I mean, I don't understand how anybody can take that action, can cast that vote. I would be appalled if my state rep, and the sad part is my state representative probably would vote for that. So it's shameful.
Not, but I'm sure that there'll be an opportunity for him to take a vote this year. In fact, I do know that there's a couple of bills out there that we'll undoubtedly see at some time this year on our pro-life issue. So we'll certainly have an opportunity to do that.
One of the other things that you brought up, and I don't think, had you not, I don't think I'd have been aware of it, and you know how closely I follow the legislature, was Governor Kelly's working group, quote unquote, that she put together to come up with a plan that could affect the entire state, cost billions of dollars, and did the whole thing behind closed doors.
Well, John, people say it's actually behind closed doors. Actually, there was no door at all because there was no meeting. So she put that out on a Wednesday that she was going to have this working group with a product to be delivered and introduced in the House the following Tuesday. So when that happened, I immediately decided to request that the the governor opened those meetings to the press and to the public so they could see exactly what was going on. This is such a huge issue with maybe it's absolutely one of the most important things going on out there when it comes to the fiscal responsibility that we have to ensure that our state does well financially. And so we asked for that transparency. You championed transparency when you were up here. Our previous governor Collier championed transparency because he actually had a Medicaid working group, which I was on, and he opened it up to the public and to the press. And matter of fact, every single time we met, we had a lot of public there. But she didn't choose to do that. And then in addition, the product that they used was actually a bill from 2017. So actually there was no working group doing anything. It was really more of just an endorsement of folks saying we're endorsing what our governor's doing. So that was quite an optical illusion, I would say, out there for the folks of Kansas.
Well, and I know that you were probably in the office or on the road, but one of the things that I pointed out earlier in the show was her, and I saw the video that you posted on Facebook with you and Stephen Johnson, where you talked about her Capers plan. I pointed out some of the quotes from Laura Kelly. She's quoted in 2016 as saying that Brownback's plan for doing essentially the exact same thing, that those tactics could, quote, financially damage the pension fund and wipe out the positive changes. And then in 2012, she was quoted as saying it would unravel all the work done to ensure the financial stability of Capers. So that is Laura Kelly as recently as 2016. And now, lo and behold, she's got essentially the same plan. The press is not covering this. The press isn't throwing those words back at her and saying, "What's changed, Governor?" Why do you think she's getting... Anthony Hensley is quoted in both those same articles ripping her plan, and yet Anthony Hensley was quoted last week as saying that, quote, her idea should be on the table. Why is this a double standard there? I mean, is it just because she's a Democrat? Is that it?
Well, I think you hit it. Actually, John, I listened to your whole program tonight. Listened to your whole piece on that bias out there, the media bias. And it is a media bias. If you watch what's happening in the media, it's like she's their darling. Matter of fact, I thought it was very interesting that the week before she took office, things actually started changing very fast from the media being very critical of Governor Collier to literally endorsing anything and everything that she does. And I shouldn't say all of the media. There are a couple of reporters up here that have been critical, but not many. Most of them are actually a very good mouthpiece for her agenda. Her agenda, the cornerstone of her budget, is this pension reamortization, which is absolutely an abomination. And you were there when Governor Brownback at that time proposed a smaller one, about a 10-year reamortization instead of a 27-year reamortization, actually a 30-year. I guess it probably is closer to the fact there. And we turned him down.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a good idea then, and it's darn sure not a good idea now. Back then, it was a much less fiscal note. We're talking about taking $700 million. She's taken $724 million over 5 years from Capers, and that's going to cost us $7.4 billion. The taxpayers out there get to have a debt of $7.4 billion put on their back. And I can't imagine anybody thinking that's a good deal. And I agree with you. It's really interesting that Senator Anthony Hensley now is championing something that he literally railed against all those other times.
Well, gee, you mean there's hypocrisy out there? Never. When we get back, we're going to take a quick break here. When we get back, Dan, I'd like to get your take on what's coming up here in the next week or so with the legislature, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Perfect. You're listening to the John Whitmer Show. We'll be back right after this. Well, welcome back to the John Whitmer Show for our final segment here. We're still with Representative Dan Hawkins on the line with us. Now, I know, Dan, we've talked already on the show about Senate Bill 22, which is up in the Senate this week. What do you think? What's the House working on this week that folks might want to keep an eye out, watch? What might be something that we want to watch?
Well, so one thing we've been waiting for, John, is this pension reamortization bill to surface so we can debate that. We're very eager to debate that, and I believe that will probably be introduced in the pension committee possibly as early as tomorrow. So, we're waiting for that. We want to debate it and certainly have a vote on it. All of the budget committees that we have are presently receiving their briefings from all the different agencies that report to them, so they're really busy with that. They haven't actually started on their budgets yet because they haven't received them, many of them, so a lot of it's just briefings, and then as those budgets come in, then they start having the budget hearings. A big deal, though, is in the Commerce Committee, there will be this is going to be near and dear to your heart, John. There's going to be a hearing on HB 2118, which is the aviation tax credit. You remember that?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that was one a couple of years ago. We passed it, went to the Senate. It never did make it through the Senate, so we're going to give that one a shot again because that's near and dear to our heart in Wichita, taking care of our aviation partners and helping them to continue to be successful and providing all of those jobs, many, many jobs that they provide. In the Health and Human Services Committee, which is one that I used to chair, and our very own in Wichita, Representative Brenda Landwehr chairs it now, and she's doing a fine job. She's going to be having a briefing on the youth who are the amount of use of electronic smoking devices and what that's doing to them. So there's going to be a nice briefing on that.
Interesting.
Kind of anxious to hear how that goes. She'll also receive her first annual report from the new OIG, the Office of Inspector General. So, that was something that we did a couple of years ago and just finally was put together at the end of the last year as an office. So that'll be an interesting report. In the Insurance Committee, we'll also be hearing about the association health plans and fixing those to where they coincide with the federal government's new regulations, so we can really make good use of those and provide another way, and actually an excellent way for small businesses to be able to provide hopefully a lower cost health plan to their members. And then, of course, the short-term health plan also is an issue that the federal government changed, made it to where we can have short-term health plans that can go up to a year and be renewed twice, so you can have a total of 3 years. So those are all items that are happening in the House. Every time we start a new biennium, John, it takes a while for those bills to come through and get out. So we only have about 5 bills under the line in the House right now, and none of them are really ones that we really want to start working on yet. So may not have any debate on the House floor, but lots of work in our committee. The other thing that we're really looking forward to, I don't know if you've talked about this, but Senate Bill 9. Senate Bill 9 is a bill that the Senate will debate also tomorrow that will make the payment on that loan that we made a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah, paying back that payment. Yeah. That's right.
So we're going to capers. That's actually going to be it's about $115 million payback that will actually be done with at that point. It served its purpose. We've got the money to pay it back, and we certainly want to get that paid back and keep our capers plan moving right along the way it's been moving. It's doing very well.
Well, Dan, I appreciate you calling in tonight, giving us the brief, and please keep up the good work and keep the newsletters coming, my friend.
We'll do it. You take care, John.
You too. I appreciate you. You know, folks, each night at the wrap up our episodes, I try and give you a final thought. And tonight's final thought actually relates to a House member, a Kansas House member. Yesterday, Democrat Representative Pankawee Victors held a town hall here in Wichita in conjunction with the left-wing Sunflower Action Coalition. The main topic is the bill that she has introduced in the House that would give illegal immigrants, not any of these other terms that you've heard, illegal immigrants, driver's licenses. During the meeting, Pankawee admitted that passage of the bill was unlikely, but told the group not to worry. She was going to hide it in a bill introduced in the Transportation Committee because, quote, they're all stupid and won't read it anyway. I get this from someone who was there and attended the meeting and wanted me to know. But you know, folks, this is why we must hold our elected officials accountable for how they vote. And we must carry on the fight for those conservative principles that we hold dear. Because of stuff like this that they try and sneak in when we're not paying attention. We have to be the ones that hold them accountable. And we have to carry on that fight. You're listening to the John Whitmer Show. We appreciate you tonight. Thanks for sticking with us. We'll be here for you next week. Show.